have a seat. If you don't know, my name's Todd. I'm one of the pastors here at Summit, and I had the privilege last August, of going with our team to Zambia, where we actually were partnering with some of these guys that are here tonight from Overland, and it's really good to see all of you. Man, God did some incredible things. I just wanted to share a story. One of the things that we were able to see God do and witness a miracle. So the first day we went out, we would go door to door during the day and visit with people in their homes, pray with them, talk with them, share the gospel with them, and then invite them to come to a meeting that night. And we went to this one home, and we met a woman named Brenda. And Brenda was there at the house by herself with the kids, and she had, I think it's 4 kids if I remember right. It was a house full, right? They were everywhere. She had her hands full, but she was alone, and she seemed really despondent. Really, she seemed discouraged. And so as we began to talk with her, we learned that her husband was a drunk, and that he would get up early in the morning and he would leave, and he would be gone often before she and the kids even were awake. And he would go and he would spend all day drinking with his friends, and Brenda was home alone, responsible for taking care of the children and their agriculture and the things that, really keeping up the household and doing and she's carrying this load all by herself. And she talked with us about how difficult that was, and how that she really wanted God to do a work in her husband. And so we prayed with Brenda, and then we went, on our way and visited some other houses. And that night we were at the night meeting, and Brenda was there, but there was a man who was obviously very, very drunk, and he was dancing, and he was making a lot of noise, and generally kind of making a spectacle of himself. But we went ahead with the meeting, and he would call attention to himself in different ways throughout the night. But at the end of the night, after we had shared the gospel, he came and he asked one of our team members to pray with him that God would deliver him from alcohol. And so a few days later, we visited Brenda again. We thought, well, we'll go and check and see how things are going. And her husband was there, and I did not even recognize him as the same man. I didn't recognize that it was the man from the night meeting. He looked completely different. And he was smiling, and Brenda was smiling, and he began to tell us about what God had done in his life, and that he had not touched alcohol since that day. And then at the end of our trip, the family, again, they lived quite a ways actually from our campsite, but the entire family walked to our campsite to talk with us again about what God had done in their family, and to thank us, which is like, you don't need to thank us, right? We got to watch God do something awesome, but just to talk with us again and to share what God was doing in their life. And one of the ministry partners that was there, his name was Amos, and he and I messaged from time to time, and I asked him a few days ago, how is Sonny Boy doing? That was the husband's name. And he sent me a picture of Sonny and Brenda standing in their garden with their arms around each other, and said they're doing just fine. And man, it was such an incredible blessing. And that's just a fraction of what we saw God do. But, just those moments where in an instant, God did a work in that man's heart that forever has changed his family, and I believe will change future generations. And those are the kinds of things that God invites us into, not just in faraway places like Zambia, but right here. God wants to do those things in our city, in our neighbors, in our families, in our friends. And I am praying and I am believing God that that's exactly what we're going to see. And so that's my time. That's what I wanted to share with you. So thanks for listening.